That's why cats were gods, right? They're just so cool.
Yeah.
I love it. And even I Googled this, like cat owners are tend to be super high IQ and introvert, but I think I'm extrovert, so that's weird.
Okay.
I love dogs, but I just
Should be
like
published.
the whole thing about putting in my face.
Yeah.
Honestly, I like the carbon impact of dogs. It's like worse than SUV.
Yep.
It's like a 100-pound dog.
Don't tell me that. I could never go to
So like I think cats are cool because like I'm actually a vegetarian.
Cool.
My cat has to.
I'll be right outside.
Perfect, thank you.
Sorry that took so long.
But it's
No
just
worries.
great to have a friend. It's
Yeah.
like at your house, you come home, you're just like, I got my buddy.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I miss my cat.
We used to do dogs with cats too.
Yeah.
You can always foster. That's what I did. Like I got, like, just foster, and then they never let it get back.
I'm
Alright.
so mobile right now though.
That's hard.
One day I'll
That's
have
hard.
cat.
I like a pet spider at one point, and also pet horses. So I like the smallest pets and the largest pets.
Yeah, he grew up on a farm, so he knows all about the horses.
Hey, we're ready to go.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you guys for being here. Appreciate it. We're this is our 4th meetup. Got a lot of Filecoin stuff coming up next week, so thank you guys for coming here. Yeah, so we're the awesome Web3 Filecoin meetup. Our other 2 organizers are on their way to Belgium for a Filecoin event there. So that's why they're not here. Just kind of overview of what we're going to talk about today. Basically some recent developments in the Filecoin space. I was at ESPA last week. It's the Enterprise Storage Provider Accelerator, which is hosted by Protocol Labs and Picnic. So that was really interesting, like ton of really interesting conversations just kind of in the whole ecosystem, especially in the mining kind of area. And I'm going to talk about some new projects that are floating around. And also I think Angelo from Protocol Labs is going to be here around 7:30, and he's going to show kind of some of the work that he's done. Other than that, it'll be kind of, you know, if you have any topics you're interested in talking about, we can explore. So that's about it. Also wanted to remind everyone, 3rd Tuesday of every month here at Capital Factory. Next event is May 16th. If you have a talk or want to give a demo or anything, please reach out to us. We are still trying to redesign our logo. So last time the number one was selected over the other one, the current one. We kind of came up with this one here, number 2 also. So I'd love to kind of get a show of hands, like who
2 is so good.
you like 2?
2 is really cool.
Yeah.
I like the color palette.
I like it.
2 has like a very like Austin vibe. I feel
Yeah.
like 1 is more just like governmental, traditional.
Right.
And I used to work for government.
I
saying something.
do 3D design and logo if you ever.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. If you ever
3D
wanted
design,
to,
nice. Yeah,
if you
yeah.
wanted to 3D it, like making it.
Nice,
more
nice.
Cool. But
Yeah.
yeah, the second one's really
Cool. Cool. Yeah. Logan did the cactus, and we kind of threw it on this background. Definitely needs work, but if you guys like that direction, I think that's the one that we're gonna go towards. So awesome. We do have a website. It's all on GitHub. It's all open source. So anything, you know, calendar. Again, all of the slides and everything will be on GitHub. So yeah, you guys can find us there. It's austinorbit.io. Also, we're on Slack. And yeah, today's event sponsored by Filecoin Foundation. Convergence is my company. Also, Open Links, that's Logan and Alex's company, and Capital Factory. So appreciate the sponsors. Gonna show this slide again at the end if you guys want to fill out a survey, I really appreciate that. Yeah, and we'll get to kind of the first discussion here. Again, my name's Dante. I'm the CEO of Convergence Inc. We're a Web3 startup here in Austin. Cloud Forest is our new product about to come out. Hello, sir. we're just getting started, so yeah, help yourself to pizza and beer. Cool, yeah, so again, gonna talk about some kind of hot topics being thrown around in this space right now. It's obviously like really interesting time in crypto. Definitely we've noticed pretty high gas fees in Filecoin recently. There's like a lot of speculation on why. A lot of people are saying it's the launch of FVM, Filecoin Virtual Machine, which definitely has been picking up traction. That's going to enable things like edge computing and basically smart contracts on Filecoin. It's really amazing tech. Other people are saying it has more to do with a lot of Filecoin sectors expiring and all of the extra messages. People are extending those sector durations and then also doing more Filecoin Plus deals. So that requires kind of more messages going back and forth. There's also somebody said, I think there was also some spam going on with FVM. Like people were basically filling up the blocks with like way more than normal amount of messages, and it was taking longer for the chain to process. So yeah, again, a lot of interesting stuff going on with FVM. You know, you're going to get some kind of outliers going on. Kind of if you guys remember, CryptoKitties kind of broke Ethereum forever. Yeah, so we're kind of seeing a similar thing in Filecoin. Yeah, baseline crossing, we'll get into that a little bit more. That's really interesting. FVM itself, another hot topic. Fill collateral issues. Filecoin miners are having a hard time like finding enough Filecoin to mine with. Also FIP36, the Filecoin improvement proposal was rejected, so we'll talk about that too. So yeah, gas fees, this is in the last 24 hours here. You can see like pretty drastic increase, and this is I think just a day. But if you go to fgas.io, you can get a real-time kind of read on this. So you see 24 hours. It's definitely going up. There's a couple other tools you can use. Filefox.info. And this will show you similar 24-hour base fee variation. Let's see if you can see 30 days, 1 year. Gas statistics, yeah, so you see this big spike here since about pretty much around when FVM launched, actually. So it's been about a month since FVM launched. But yeah, gas fees definitely a really big conversation going on. Another thing that's happening is the baseline crossing. So what that basically, this chart here is network storage capacity. It's kind of the total capacity of storage in the network. There's two ways to look at how they measure kind of the storage on Filecoin. One is quality adjusted power, that as opposed to raw byte power. So raw byte power is the actual hard drives that are attached to the network and the storage. Quality adjusted power has some other calculations in it that account for if you're storing real deals or if you're storing what they call committed capacity, which is basically a bunch of junk data that shows like you can be storing real data, but you're not at the moment. So if you're doing Filecoin Plus, you actually get 10x the amount of power in the network for that. So if I have 100 terabytes of storage, if I'm storing Filecoin Plus deals, that would look more like a petabyte on chain, right? And so this blue line here, the darker blue line is quality adjusted power, whereas the green is actual raw byte power. And then the baseline is kind of like, it's basically what a bunch of the tokenomics guys kind of settled on for kind of what they would ideally like to see for the baseline kind of growth of the network over time. And so what you've seen here, again, pretty much a month ago, a little over a month ago, is that the amount of power on the network has actually dropped below that baseline prediction. And while quality adjusted power has gone up, that means there's more Filecoin Plus deals going on. The actual power of the network is kind of below where we'd like to see it right now. So that's definitely something that people are talking a lot about. Some are concerned, some are say this is kind of all built into the system. But yeah, still definitely a lot of time, I would say, to see how that averages out over time. But yeah, if you guys want to learn more about that too, this is a really cool dashboard from Starboard Ventures. They give all kinds of overviews. So if you look at right here, this is raw byte power, 12.5 exabytes in Filecoin network available. In quality adjusted power, that's almost 20 exabytes. But in terms of actual data that you'd be able to store, it's about 12.5 exabytes, which is still massive. Yeah, actually, if you go here, you'll also see FVM kind of overview here. These are FVM contract balances. So these are smart contracts, and the balances, I think we just hit over almost 250,000 fill in balances and smart contracts. So that's interesting, starting to go up after a month. Yeah, again, Starboard Ventures, a lot of really awesome charts here that you can play around with. Let's see more on FEM. Yeah, daily unique contract deployment, contract usage, transactions, internal transactions. Yeah, there's so much here. This is a really good tool. Yeah, so that's FEM, that chart I just showed you. Collateral issues is another really big issue at the moment that people are kind of wrestling with, because it takes Filecoin to mine Filecoin, and especially with with the price being down where it is right now, the Filecoin rewards aren't really enough to make up for your expenses. So a lot of the miners are going towards the Filecoin Plus model, which gets you 10x the rewards back, because you're basically proving that you're storing real data. But in addition to getting those 10x rewards, you have to actually pledge 10 times more Filecoin. So you're pledging it, meaning you're locking it up for an amount of time, so you get it back. But again, if it's 10x, and you're trying to seal 5 petabytes of data, that can take quite a lot of Filecoin. So if you need 50,000 Filecoin out of nowhere, it's kind of difficult to get at the moment. And this is actually where FEM is starting to show some cool possibilities here. So again, we talked about Phil Plus a little bit. Again, it's basically there are these notaries out there that will verify data sets to make sure that it's real data being stored. And if all checks out there, then they're granted what's called data cap, which means like they can store X amount of terabytes or petabytes on the network, and that whole process again, in order to actually store those Filecoin deals, you have to come up with that collateral. This is a project, Infinity Pool by Glyph. Glyph is probably one of the major wallets in the space. So they've been around for a while. They actually, I think, were the first to integrate with Ledger as a Filecoin wallet. So really cool company. They have started what they call Infinity Pool, which is basically allowing people to do what they call like liquid staking, where you are staking your Filecoin in this pool, and in exchange, basically what happens is miners will apply for the pool. The miners will pledge their actual miner ID, basically the ownership of their miner. They'll put it into the pool as collateral, and then the people in the pool can give them basically liquidity Filecoin to seal. So it's an interesting kind of crowdsourced model that is meant to allow these miners to not just take a loan from like one finance company, right? And like then that finance company owns their miner. It allows you to take money from multiple everyday people. It allows everyday people to, return, get earnings on their Filecoin. And all of this is like powered by FVM, so it's all in a smart contract. You can like audit the code and everything. So that's really cool. They've started, I think their signups are now, I think you can actually deposit into Infinity Pool now. So it's really interesting, I think, in terms of getting that access to liquidity, especially as a Filecoin miner. This is going to help a lot. So hopefully we'll see more data onboarding onto this network. This is really interesting kind of topic. FIP36 is the sector duration multiplier. That basically means the average sector right now, the maximum duration of that sector, like the lifetime, when you want to store some data on Filecoin, basically it will stay stored in that miner, in that sector, on the disk for 540 days. So it's about a year and a half. They were talking about increasing that year and a half to, I think, something like 3 years, and then also increasing the block reward that you get from Filecoin Plus deals, which right now is 10x. They were talking about increasing that to 36x. And so that was like a really heated kind of discussion in the space. There's a lot of implications on storage providers and different stakeholders in the network, and there was a lot of really interesting discussions in the space. It was voted on and it was rejected. So at the moment, sectors will remain at a year and a half, and Filecoin Plus deals will stay at 10x rewards. But you can always view all of the Filecoin improvement proposals on GitHub. This is FIP36. If you guys do want to kind of look at some of the discussions going on there, it's definitely interesting. There's all kinds of FIPs here. A couple other things. Okay, wanted to just cover some cool projects in the space that we've discovered recently. One of them is interplanetary consensus. IPC is like really cool. Basically, these guys have come up with a way to scale blockchain without kind of your standard like layer 2. They do have a kind of layer 2 solution. It uses subnets. So if you see here, IPC is a framework to enable on-demand horizontal scalability of Filecoin by deploying subnets, basically self-governing chains that spawn their own state, validate messages in parallel, and seamlessly interact with any network in the hierarchy as well as with the Filecoin root network. They can actually run different consensus algorithms, and again, they kind of settle on the base chain. So this is a really, really interesting solution here to scaling, which is, you know, again, all this discussion about gas fees being really high right now. This, you know, would hopefully make that discussion irrelevant. And I got a chance to hear these guys talk about this. I definitely think the tech is really solid. So yeah, you can check out more here, ipc.space. This is also another awesome tool by the Protocol Labs team. This is the network indexer. This has been something a lot of people have been like pleading for a long time. Basically allows people to search for content on IPFS, which, you know, again, before we didn't really have an index, a way to index files on IPFS, so this is like a really needed tool. Yeah, let's see. Yep, so you have an indexer node. That node maps content IDs, CIDs to records of who has the data and how to retrieve the data. So again, this is kind of an additional node that supports different network features. That's kind of a common theme in these decentralized networks. If you need kind of added features, you might have to spin up some more nodes.
Yeah. I'd like to add something to that.
Yeah.
It doesn't change the anonymity of IPFS or Filecoin. It's a big thing on the network indexers.
Interesting.
Because it still directs to the data part, but you don't know what that data is, right? Because it's hashed.
Right,
so you're
right.
basically going down the Merkle tree to get all your files to get the whole blob of data that you need, but you only know what that kind of data is if you index it somewhere else, mapping that to the actual data point or whatever.
Got it.
So do you run your own indexer on your own CIDs, or is it just like?
Well,
There's like, I think 3 or 5 main indexer nodes on the network to bootstrap it. But every storage provider by default runs an index node. So once you install Lotus and you run like the Lotus Miner software, you'll be indexing everything you'll be
Nice.
putting or storing on the network.
yeah.
You can run it separately, but I wouldn't suggest it, because you're basically running a miner solution or a storage provider solution at that point, which because it's all about the data, right?
Yeah.
And this really comes into play the next step, compute over data, so they know
Yeah.
where it is,
Right.
so you can do it
Right.
locally,
Yeah, it's a lot
gets
faster.
indexed, and then
Yeah.
you know where
And-
to get
and
that
you
result.
can- And you can basically initialize when you want your content indexed, or is that an automated?
By default, it will index it all, because
Okay.
the entire DAX store gets built when you're saving data on Filecoin,
Right.
and every time that's successful, it will announce it to the indexer. That's by default.
Nice.
I think the only feature you can set right now in the config file is disabling it completely,
Okay.
or by default it's enabled.
Gotcha. That's awesome. Yeah. Again, this is a really requested feature. It was kind of a pain point for a lot of people building on Filecoin. There's no way to index. So yeah, it's awesome that we have that. Delta is another project that's pretty cool, open source by the Estuary team. Estuary came out as kind of a marketplace to source deals. It had definitely some issues, I think, on kind of real world implementation, but that team is really strong, and they've come back with this Delta project, which basically abstracts the deal making process as its own kind of open source system that you can basically like send your deal to, like, send your parameters to Delta, and it will basically generate your deal for you, and it will actually coordinate. You can put in the storage provider that you want to store with, and it'll like facilitate making that deal with the storage provider. There's also a lot of other cool projects that this team is working on in terms of
There is an overview if you want to go to it. It's fw.services. It will show you all the projects that team is working on. Yeah.
Here you go. Yep. So yeah, Estuary, Delta DM is more of a, yeah, this is the data manager. So this is like the user interface essentially for Delta, plus some other tools built in. There's also another one, I think, Ptolemy, that that team is also working on, that will structure or do your data prep for you. So it'll actually create the car file that you need. Car file is a content archive file that you need to actually, that's basically the file that needs to be generated before you can actually seal your data
There is an overview on
file.
Ptolemy as well if you go lower.
Oh, there is?
All of it, yeah, Bacalao.
Bacalao. Yeah, so these are all like amazing projects. Bacalao is geared towards edge computing, right? So
It's the compute over data.
compute over data, sorry. Yeah, compute over data on Filecoin. Yeah, Ptolemy, again, car generation. Actually got an opportunity to talk to some of the Lotus developers last week. There's a really cool project called Ribs that they're working on that is looking at actually bypassing the need to generate car files by using some kind of underlying aspects of IPFS that basically, yeah, again, make that whole process more efficient, so you wouldn't even need to do this whole
I don't know how much everybody's into car files, but the RIP solution is creating groups of car files and storing it as a block store and indexing it in a database. So you see the data structure coming from the database, but you're accessing car files directly that are grouped together to generate that blob of data.
Interesting, yeah.
Because it's them, those car file blocks in that group are divided into 32 gig sectors, and that matches directly into Filecoin, and
Gotcha.
that makes it very
That's
easy
awesome,
to
yeah.
move and transport directly into.
Yeah, so you're storing on Filecoin anyway. You might as well store it in this format. Basically, I think that's something that my company will probably integrate, because right now we do the whole data prep and generating car files process, and it's does take overhead. Link is another cool company I saw recently. They're looking for beta testers. Basically, you can launch your game on Web3. They work directly with the Filecoin blockchain and are implementing FVM. So they're looking for app developers, game developers who want to test this out, creating like NFTs, smart contracts with in-game play. So that's a really cool one. A couple more. Tableland, kind of on the same lines. Tableland is by Textile. Textile is a company that's been around protocol labs and IPFS space for a while. They build a lot of like database tech, and this one's really cool because basically what it is, it's metadata for your NFT. So that means you can have this immutable NFT that also has a database, basically an SQL database that is actually stored on chain, and the metadata for that NFT is mutable. So you can have like this, object. Maybe you have like a sword or something that is an NFT, but then you have these metadata properties that make it possible for you to like change how that sword is rendered in a certain environment, right? So the sword looks one way to you, but looks another way to somebody else. It kind of gives you like, or maybe that sword is like in a certain geographic location, and that, that longitude is part of its metadata, and like you move that sword to another location and that metadata can update. So it gives another dimension to NFTs, which is pretty cool. And you can also gate access to who can read or write to that SQL database that's stored on chain. So if you complete some like mission or something, maybe you can gain access to actually write metadata to that NFT and like change how it's rendered for everybody else, for example. Yeah, there's a lot of really interesting stuff going on in this space, and definitely the textile team is really, really talented. Yeah, a lot of interesting info about kind of how they came up with this kind of whole world behind Tableland too. It's pretty cool. Yeah, and then my company, Cloud Forest, we can talk about that later. We do have a cool project from one of our members here. Here it is. Yeah, Hypermedia. Do you want to talk a little bit about
sure.
Hypermedia and introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Hey guys, name is Frank Ramos, and I've been working on IPFS projects for like a really long time. Now it's more Filecoin projects, and one of the things that I've specialized in over the years, I have like 12 years of experience roughly doing video on the web, and one of the things that we found is a really good use case for IPFS is to have video. So this is kind of just like a little bit of a demo of a video player running a native IPFS car file. So this is like kind of like even with the internet connection here, it's pretty fast. I think it loaded for a little bit, but I can do a hard reload. But decentralized video is something that I'm like really passionate about. Yes.
I think there is a service called Odyssey. Does it also use IPFS? Or does it use something
I don't think it might have used IPFS at some point, but I think they kind of had something called library or something like that. I think it's kind of like SIA. It's another kind of decentralized kind of thing, but we don't talk about that here. But the reason why really interested in this, I built really large like video streaming platforms, and see like you can get beautiful video on IPFS, including you can actually I have it here, so you can also actually like upload your own videos too. Let me just do like a quick one.
And do you have to install like some special plugins, or like how does it work in the browser?
That's all HTML5 browser.
Okay.
So it lets you, which I think this is where it is, downloads. these are different.
Mm.
Let's see if I can do it. This is
So if you right click, should be able to download. I might have to load.
that's all right. Oh.
Oops.
Yes, you see, even traditional Web 2, too many requests. That's kind of fire. I like that. I don't want to like dig your
So
computer.
what actually, when you upload videos, what's actually happening in the background?
Yeah, I would love to show you. Let me just do like, hold on.
I think I'm also on my phone internet, so it might
Oh, gotcha.
just be like insanely slow.
The phone internet is usually faster than the pirate.
It usually is, yeah, you're right.
Okay,
That's
so
definitely where I live.
Yeah,
It's pretty much every.
With the Capital Factory, I've gotten 200 to 300 down. Maybe we could beat that with T-Mobile, but not on hotspot.
I got like 500 meg.
So you see, you can sorry. Why are you not there? Yeah, see, so it's uploading, processing it. You can upload a 50 gig file on here, and what it does in the background. Oh, there it is. That was pretty fast. See, and then there's the same video, so it plays back faster over IPFS than it did just playing it, and then you can embed it into an iframe. This part's not quite done. Let me see if I can.
Do you have to pay to host it somewhere?
So right now, we have, we're gonna have it like for free for a while, until people can like check it out. We're gonna be building on top of it. Here, sorry, let me just show you this real quick. This embeds our custom HTML5 player that has IPFS in it. So see, you can send this link to anybody, and it'll play the video. So you see, it's like all on IPFS. So this is what we're gonna be demoing next week.
Is it accessible through any gateway or just your gateway?
Right now, just my gateway, and then over time we're gonna expand into other gateways, Filecoin, like replication, that sort of thing. But yeah, this is part of like the future of IPFS, and it's beautiful. It's all on IPFS.
It's actually like insanely fast. I was really surprised.
Yeah.
We were doing some tests today. I think we were able to download like 50 gigs in less than an hour. I think on like 10 different machines at the same time. It was really interesting. But Angelo also has been working on some really cool.
I actually don't have a presentation.
That's okay. Yeah. Or do you want me to go to the website?
Sure. I don't know if there's anything you want to talk about.
Might as well show kind of the updated docs at least.
Yes, that we can do, yeah. Because I saw you had it open when you were showing the
I
indexer
did.
one. I was like, okay, that's good. We found
Yeah.
it there.
Yeah, there's also,
I think you're going to open that. That's my test website.
is it calc?
It's just docs.falcon.io.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Oops. Cool, yeah, we have new Filecoin docs.
Oh, nice.
This is,
I can go over it if you want to.
Yeah, please.
The screen is a little crazy. It's stopping me
yeah, be careful.
Still on that side.
there. Yeah, it's like kind of flickering.
That's because it's
Swinging. Should be okay. Maybe step on this side, when you touch the core.
Oh, it's one of those. Yeah. Well, it's not that much to cover anyway. This is very specific to storage providers, so if you're storing data on Filecoin, you want to become a storage provider. Me and my team put that together. It took us like 3 months to figure all that out. So it seems like a simple website, but the content itself is very catered to storage providers, especially new ones. So if you want to learn anything about a storage provider, this is the way to start. It will help you all the way. We divided it up into like several specific parts. You see the economics one, that's the one that people talk about the most. You know, what is the ROI, how does that work? If you go into the tokenomics of it, or economics, you can kind of dive into what everything means, especially on, you know, earnings, slashings, costs. I mean, this is like a rabbit hole you can dive into for hours. We had it tested, field tested by, you know, current storage providers that are used to working with it. They even learn new stuff. So this is really like everything together, just kind of diving into it. The fun part about it is that my colleague Bob, who just started, I think 4 months ago, I made him make it as like a starting project because he had to get up to speed really quickly. So we kind of worked on it together, and he structured it that way. And then we worked with the docs team. I don't know if you ever talked to them, but to get it on there. I think it. Oh, sorry, it's not touchscreen. I usually have to get used to the whole Mac thing. I'm a Windows guy. I'm sorry. Very interesting on. I think we had the conversation last time I was here on. How does it all work, the storage provider part, on the architecture, on how the deal flow works, how the data get in there. It's all mapped out here, especially on, you know, the kind of like the architecture around all the software itself that's being used, the infrastructure itself, everything you need to know, and the skill section, which I think is very interesting. I wrote most of that. Is kind of like explaining to you kind of the skill set you need. If you can see, like, it's very broad, right? It's like basically anything in the industry. If you're building a whole data center, you need all those skills to make that work. Definitely check it out. Get a network indexer. I had Bob put it on there because I know a lot of people work. I think Filecoin Green is another one. It should be in there somewhere. It's an initiative to make Filecoin as green as possible. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but it's kind of like explaining how several storage providers are working together with data centers that offer green energy, or we have some specific data centers built right now. There's one in the Netherlands, one in France being built, and I think here in Vegas, and they are building an entire solar panel on top of their data center specifically for Filecoin hosting. So to make that work, it's very impressive. I would definitely check that out, the Filecoin Green Initiative. Really cool to see what they're doing there. The cool part about it is it's not like, okay, you know, going green, because a lot of big companies and big tech companies talk about it as well. But because we integrated with Filecoin, you can see based on the storage provider, based on the data on the blockchain, you can see how efficient it is. Like, you can't lie about it. There is software being built that measures the difference between the consumption of power, what is doing on the blockchain, because we have all that data, right? So you can correlate that with the current hardware setups and everything, so you can actually see if it's green or not, right? While if you're hosting anything anywhere in a data center, you just have to believe the person telling you, yeah, it's green, right? So that's the big differentiator there. Some other things really interested is what I like, for instance, if you're more on like the components of Lotus, which is the main part, like software that we use right now. It's a diagram on that, kind of explaining the entire infrastructure that a storage provider is going through. Very interesting part is the sealing pipeline, which maybe some people talk to what is it, sealing as a service providers right now that offloads that. This is when you do it all on your own, like building it in-house, maintaining that. I do think that part is gonna get out a little bit. A lot of people will be shifting, especially new ones will be shifting to sealing as a service providers because the investment on that part is really high. So it depends on what scale you're gonna go. Like if you're going beyond the petabyte scale, you're doing your own sealing cluster. Is it smaller, or you just need it like sometimes, or you need to onboard a big customer maybe twice a year? You just have a small cluster, and then you kind of offload the large set to the sealing provider. So it's very flexible on that.
And that's the biggest benefit of sealing as a service, is it is flexible. If you just need that storage like sealed immediately, and maybe your pipeline's already like full, or it's just nice to have that option.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's cheap compared to a sealing pipeline. I mean, I built a new ROI calculator, I think 2 months ago. Version 0.5 is online right now. It's also in the docs, but you can go directly to it. Let me see. There it is. I don't know. So you can also check that out. Kind of gives you a. The reason why I like presenting on the ROI calculator is not necessarily for people that want to become a storage provider, but if you have an idea on what a storage provider is going through to store your data. Because if you look at how much it's costing them, how much raw capacity compared to like the Filecoin Plus or data cap part that you need, like you mentioned a little bit earlier. You can see how the block rewards are coming in every 24 hours. It gives you kind of an overview of what's going on. They need to take on loans for the Filecoin for collateral, what impacts on that. And you can see what their revenue is based on the block rewards. But then if you look at what storage providers are doing on onboarding, using all the tooling you just used, talking to customers all the time, storing all that data right now at 95% discount or even more, it makes sense that they need to get some revenue somewhere. So that's very interesting just to see how that works. There's some info buttons in there that like ties back to the storage provider docs to give you an overview on how that works. And on the infrastructure side, it's very interesting just to read. Even if you're just in general interested on how does a data center work and all the things you need to do around storage, very interesting read on that. Any questions on that? I don't know if anybody has a question or want to go over something specific on a storage provider part or anything.
It's all there.
That's the best part. That's why we made it, because we were having so many conversations with people that were scheduling meetings on, hey, how does this work? How does that work? That we wanted something to point them to, go read all this, and if something's not clear, come to us and we'll definitely dive into very specific subjects.
Definitely is really complex, but that's what that's why it's valuable. Really, that's the big value prop with Filecoin, is you have basically this independently verifiable receipt that something actually happened, that somebody's actually storing your data, and
definitely
you don't have to trust any third party.
No.
So.
No, it's true. I mean, there's several ways how you can use Filecoin. The big one that people are really focusing on right now is the new consensus model, like breaking it down, like you already mentioned. It's so interesting because if you're a blockchain developer, you have your own blockchain in 5 seconds. It's like one command. You just download an npm module. You start it. You have a new blockchain based on the Filecoin blockchain, and you can change any variable you want compared to what's in the blockchain, and then you only pull down the parts you want to sync in your blockchain part. And a lot of people are already looking at it like, oh, so we can use the same infrastructure and mechanism as Filecoin, and we can lower all the gas fees and all the pricing and all the block
Right.
rewards to zero.
Yes.
Everything is just zero, so you're using all the features, but it's not
Mhm.
costing you anything. You're also not
Yeah.
making any block rewards,
Sure.
where you can just use all the
Yes.
tech and all the features for free.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Use that in your
Amazing.
infrastructure,
Seriously.
and then it's
Yeah,
crazy.
When I heard that, I was
What do we call that again?
that's IPC.
IPC,
IPC,
yeah, the
okay.
interplanetary
Consensus.
consensus model. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. In terms of scaling, you know, like people talk about side chains and lightning and things like that. Definitely, which you know definitely helps. But this is, I would say, a more mature solution.
Yeah.
Probably longer term, better solution.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it uses subnets, so it's
Mm-hmm.
you know it's basically still on the chain, but only when you want to interact with it. Essentially.
Yeah. I see it future-wise a lot, because right now everything's in one blockchain. Gas fees are getting expensive now, especially
Yeah.
with FVM launched. Everybody,
Right.
like a lot of developers are using it. Yeah, so
Right.
it's a normal evolution.
When you said it's like its own sub, then it's like private, like.
It's private completely to yourself. Yeah, you can even like shield it from access. For you can say, for instance, I created 50 wallet addresses. Only these 50 have access to my blockchain. You can really like you know.
That's cool.
Yeah.
like
I'll
that.
do that
So,
to you.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
you can shard it essentially then, like, you know, if you scale, if your own blockchain, you know, gets too heavy, you can basically shard it.
You can
and-
keep like
Yeah.
pulling it apart any
Mhm.
way you want. Yeah, it's so
that,
good.
I think that's a really
I'll,
Yeah,
I'll definitely use that, because remember some of the stuff we were talking about, like making it more CDN-ish
Mhm.
than kind of like cold storage.
Yeah.
If we had just like some hardware and then someone wanted to participate in that network, that's actually pretty
Yeah,
pretty cool.
I'm gonna ask one of my colleagues, or I might do it myself, to add some part on IPC on
Nice.
the docs as well,
Yeah,
just to
That's
have,
awesome.
because we're gonna address the store part as well, which right now is just focus on FVM a little bit. But I wanna have more of a client view as well, because if you look at it from clients pushing or, you know, pulling data on or off Filecoin, it's a whole journey, right? You come into data, you bring your data, you need to have a conversation, you need to use what tooling it is, how does this all go? You're gonna go through a KYC or KYB process to get your data verified, because you wanna store your data as efficient and as cheap as possible for most clients. So they do that, and then it's like bringing them in contact with storage providers, like getting it all on the network. It's a whole journey, and we need to map that out better.
Yeah.
And
Right,
yeah,
right.
same as these docs, like just a work in progress. So check it out. If you miss anything, I'm happy to add more. So we're working
Yeah.
on that as we speak. I think let me see, maybe one last one. No. Then another interesting part, but I don't know how I can pull that up. Do you have Miro? No. It's like, it was very interesting what you were talking about on Delta and Ptolemy. Cause I'm the guy involved with solutions and architecture, so I started Project Motion a while back. And what it does is it integrates all those tooling and wrapping it with like a front-end API and kind of making it like, most people are used to just storing data with like S3-like, right? Just put a put or a pull or a delete or a list or whatever, simple. So we're building that so you don't need to worry about anything Filecoin related. So it abstracts everything you need to know about Filecoin, but still, you know, have all the features of Filecoin.
I will 100% use that.
Yeah, that's the next evolution. It's called Project Motion.
Nice.
Cause
I can-
we'll have like we'll have the car file CID ready to go, and then just like, we wanna make it an option so someone can like check off if they wanna put like a video or something that's like.
It's even simpler. You would just tell,
Should
here's the
be.
MP4, and you just upload it like through a Python script,
Right.
like you just push it through a REST API or through an S3 command like you're used to. You don't need to worry about,
Yeah, and I think Delta, they optimized the one of the pieces, again, depends if you even need the data prep anymore, but they were able to optimize like actually creating the comp by like
Oh, alright, yeah.
80% or something. Like
Andrew worked on that a lot.
yeah, so they're also making it like way more efficient too, which is nice.
They are,
Yeah, it's really cool to see.
I'll bring the video. You guys bring
Yeah, there you go. Man. Seriously.
You saw that was pretty slick, though, right? It's
Dude,
like
yeah,
fast
that's
as
so cool. I love that you can embed it.
That's-
You you can
12.
share that link and
Yeah, and
it
it's
just
and
uses
it's,
IPFS
it's
gateway. That's nice.
yeah, it uses the gateway, but we want to make it so that you can back up your data or whatever. We want to like hold it hostage, but
I don't know if you have like Slack on here.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
quickly show it to you if you want to.
Sure.
Because we have 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, we can do some time. Filecoin Slack. Oh, that's a big picture. Did you just select it?
I just selected you, and I just opened up the Miro board.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is like internal PL, but I can show you.
Oh, cool.
Show you
Nice.
again. I built this like, so you'll have to help me out with this, like zooming in. How does that work
Oh.
with? Is that
Kind of, yeah.
just like
Should be.
moving it around? Oh yeah, there you go. If you can put that, see if you look at it, this is kind of the same as like S3. Like it has the get, delete, building ACLs around it.
Yeah.
What we're doing with Project Motion, kind of like wrapping it all together, making sure that it scales right. So what we're doing here is translating it into like spade or delta or lassie for retrieval, and like having built-in tracking and orchestration and all that, so you don't need to, you're just worried about this part, right? So this offloads everything you need to know about Filecoin. It's a big project, but I've been pushing for it for months now, and finally everybody got it, that we need this.
Right.
Yeah, I keep telling them, like, look, compared to AWS, like, it's like we have the bucket, but we don't have the
Yes.
S3 connector. Like,
Yes.
that's
Yeah,
the same
exactly.
problem
It's-
that we have right now, so we need to do
Exactly.
something about it.
But it's like FTP
Give us an
somewhere.
API. Yeah, they're just give us an API.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's like REST or S3, that's what they're
literally
asking
makes it
for.
cloud.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, and we
That's-
need to accommodate for that, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah, that's awesome though.
And then we had a whole conversation today with Magic too on the
yeah,
RIPS.
yeah. Spoke to him last week too.
And RIPS would cover multiple parts of this, but still RIPS would be the block store. Like I mentioned, like with the 32 gig sectors, prepping it basically. It's a big block, right? Most of them are like 2 megabytes to 64 megabytes on like a file system. 32 gig is large, but still, I mean, it works for this use case. And then RIPS would be running here as cache basically, but still using lassie and spade or delta for the data making part.
Yeah,
So it's kind of like making use of everything we have.
Yeah, awesome.
And then making one full stack solution, so
Right.
that is what we're working on.
Nice.
I drew it up yesterday, so this is very fresh at the
Amazing.
press,
Yeah,
to work
And
on.
this will be open source.
Yeah, absolutely, everything we do
Yeah.
at PL is open
Yeah,
source.
that's amazing.
Yeah, we're not gonna,
Yeah, that's like.
yeah, I mean, if we
Can't
develop
ask-
it, RIPS is open source, all the
Can't
rest
ask
is
for
open
more.
source, I mean,
Yeah.
and my biggest concern right now is pushing for support, right? Because enterprises want people that, that it's not just one person. I mean, Magic is the person that
Yes.
developed
Right.
RIPS.
Yeah.
If we don't have anybody else, we cannot use RIPS, right?
Yes, yes.
So that's kind of like how we're doing research on all that
Yeah.
as well. It's not just, oh, let's build some tooling, because,
Mhm.
I can script too, I can build something,
Sure,
but
right,
then
right.
what, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
100%.
so that's not what we want.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's a
That's amazing.
little sneak peek.
Yeah, there's so much going on in this space right now. It's really.
Yeah, we'll do some like talking like next week too. I don't know if you're gonna go to consensus
Oh
or
yeah,
to the
yeah, I'll be there.
same.
You're gonna be there. Yeah, you're presenting, right? Or
Well, I'm just gonna be like chatting with people.
Sure.
I couldn't, I didn't know what like the schedule was or kind of like what days or whatever it'll be time on. think it's just
I
more
looked
like-
at the links and it looks like the schedule is not even set.
there.
It's
Not
weird
there
the week
anymore.
before,
It was though,
but
that's
yeah,
when it was
okay.
there, and I was like, I saw one on
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't see anything now, I was like, okay.
Yeah, that's definitely. You'll be there for sure.
It'll be more chill, more relaxed.
Absolutely.
It's gonna be good.
Yeah.
A lot of people are in Belgium, I think, too, right?
Yeah, but they'll
Oh, they'll be here by
well,
then.
actually,
Oh, yeah,
some will
by
fly
next
over.
weekend.
Cause I was planning on being in Belgium, but I was like, yeah, well,
Yeah.
consensus is right here. I
Right.
might as because I was planning on being in Belgium, just
Mhm.
visiting family.
Yeah.
But also after consensus, I'll fly out
Nice, yeah.
and see what's up there. What I wanted to ask, the links that you used today to present on all the new stuff, if you could share that with me on Slack
Oh,
or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah, sure.
Cause I'd like to, yeah, it's something we do internally to share more what we did. So
Oh, yeah,
we'll
yeah.
just do a small like thing on the ecosystem and on
We are live
LinkedIn and
streaming
all
this
that.
too, so I'll share the link to
okay,
the
that's
live
good.
stream
Yeah.
too.
And if you wanna look at mine too, I gotta make some edit on some text and
Mhm.
that's it. It's
Oh,
right.
that's good. I mean, it's the, the link from
Yep,
your solution. is
I'll
as
make sure I
well.
add it,
Yeah.
he shared it like right before,
Mm.
but, yeah, actually,
cool.
Community
because
projects.
I think you have the record for the, so last week at ESPA, I won a ledger,
Oh,
There you go.
nice.
and, I think it was like some quiz, like a Filecoin quiz.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
But I think you, at this point, have attended the most. I think, or you're tied with Dawit. I think he was at the very first one.
Yeah, it was not at the first
Yeah,
one.
but because you presented, you're actually our first
Oh,
like,
awesome. Thank you.
first presenter from the members. So,
Awesome.
any other topics you guys want to talk about? Like anything you're working on in particular, or like, yeah, just like curious about?
I wanted to learn more about Odyssey, if anyone wants to talk about that.
True, I don't know much about it.
I
to
don't.
be honest.
I don't know much either because it's like I've been going down the rabbit hole of like distributed file system stuff for a while. I think they started with IPFS, but then they did something else, and then they're using this thing called library or something like that. So it's like this this alternative. It's very similar. It's very similar to IPFS, but it's like some other thing, and it's not as well adopted. It's like IPFS has like so many different companies that are like backing it so much. So I don't really know what happened to it.
So they got
I think
Is
you're talking about Odyssey, like the
the
YouTube.
DAO or
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's
Yeah, like
Odyssey
everyone,
video.
like most of the,
I think it's
if
like
anyone
com-
gets banned like from YouTube, they usually go to,
Yeah, it has
Rumble
like,
or
this
Odyssey?
yellow, like, yeah, there it is.
There it
All
is.
DY,
Yeah,
yeah.
there it is.
Yeah, the weird spelling.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
do they use IPFS or?
no, they use another thing called library, LBRY or something.
Okay.
I don't know. I could build this in a weekend. Like, this is like, it's cool, but I mean,
Yeah.
stay tuned. I'll probably build something similar to
Yeah.
this. That's a
Well, I mean,
concept.
it'd be very cool to have that on IPFS, like the way you build it.
Yeah. But you saw how like quick, it's like
Oh, yeah, yeah,
anyone
that's
can
what I'm
upload
saying.
there quick, and it's and pretty soon we're gonna try to make it so that we can have it in like the bacalao, so we could do the transcoding to make it like
Oh, right.
to make it like
Nice.
Mhm.
really good.
I mean, the time to first byte is important with video, and that seems to
Yeah.
work very well
Mhm.
under implementation.
Yeah. Did you guys implement the stagger?
Yeah, the DAG.
Yeah, the DAG model
Yeah,
for
the
video.
The DAG. It was just a flag.
You could yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just.
I thought it was gonna be more
No,
complicated.
I know, right?
Could it leaking like that?
I know. I don't know. It doesn't like my
Yeah,
laptop. I think. There we go.
Yeah, the hardest thing was the upload.
to make that work.
Not just work, but it
To do
it does
data
it does
processing.
client side chunking, so
Mhm.
it's like
Yeah,
you
yeah,
could do
I-
huge files.
I can see, yeah,
Right,
if you
yeah.
pull in 50 gig, it's like streaming and chunking at the same
Yeah.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's, yeah, that can get
Yeah, we're actually having to do similar stuff on our end. Can show you guys the latest. We got a new build. If this will cooperate, I don't know.
Yeah, no, we're also trying to figure out how to do like server-side chunking as well. Like doing it like API-based chunking,
Like asynchronous.
like,
Okay.
it's really freaking hard.
Maybe talk to Angel. I don't know if you ever talked to him. He's
And-
on my team, and he built the new streaming for CompP and car files and everything. He definitely knows it, and he all
Yeah,
of those details.
nice.
Oh, wow.
That's the best thing about this ecosystem is like you really can talk to anybody. There's so many amazing projects that people are working on, even like side projects.
Yeah, definitely.
And they're all accessible. Like everybody's on Slack.
I forget that these guys exist. It's like I'll make an IPFS
Yeah.
Filecoin version of that, no problem.
That's good.
Let's see if I can load this.
The
Yeah,
hard
so-
part is to upload. I'm telling you, that's by far the hardest part.
I imagine if you figure that out.
So, yeah.
Well, you have the video part already with uploading, so you'll be just multiplying that.
Yeah, and then we have like the
Yeah.
gateway, and then it transcodes it into like 50,000 pieces. Then those pieces get made into a car file, and with a little
Yeah, you can imagine that. Like
it's a lot of work, but it looks really good.
Cool. Yeah, so this
Alright.
is the latest version of CloudForest. This is basically your personal Dropbox. It's actually hosted on your own cloud server, right? And
Is it open source?
It's not.
No.
No.
And it has IPFS backend, right?
Has IPFS in the back end, basically Kubo, and
yeah,
also
okay.
Lotus.
Okay.
So
Tutorial on Filecoin.
yeah. So we do all the data prep for you and facilitate back end.
Did you ever talk to Mara about your solution in the Clown Group team? Because I was looking at your solution, and I think, like, for instance, say that I have a file. Let's say it's a medical file or whatever it is, or
Mhm.
we're talking to research and academia,
Yeah.
and they want to upload file,
Mm-hmm.
but they want to see the entire transaction, because they want to see
Yes.
if I upload a file in a year, it's still that same file, because you have data rotting, you have
Mhm.
the non-immutable, so mutable part,
Sure,
but
yeah.
it makes it mutable if you would like
Yes.
store it that way.
Right.
If you could like say, oh, I'm uploading a file, and then you can like ask for details on
Yes.
giving that entire
Yeah.
history,
Yes.
you would be like really focusing on a niche market right now,
Mhm.
and I think Mara would definitely get you
That's
clients.
I think in the next 30 days we will have the full file history,
Mhm.
who accessed it, when did they access it, any user actions taken on that file. We'll have that, and what's kind of cool about this is you can spin up multiple nodes, and you can spin those nodes wherever you
Mhm.
want, even with different hosting providers.
Mhm.
So you can kind of decentralize the whole network across hosting providers, and geographically, and it'll basically sync only the data that you need, or people that have permissions to that files. So like if you had, I don't know, if you like went on a doctor visit, right, and your healthcare company has like a node, your doctor office has a node, your whoever your lab has a node, and you have a node, like when your test results come in, like your doctor, that data will sync to their node automatically, it'll sync to your node automatically, where you store all your, like there's no place where people can store their own health
Mhm.
records right
No.
now. It's really like impossible, but
Yeah.
it's not over HTTP, right? It's over IPFS,
Mhm.
and it's a private IPFS network. So there's all kinds of like added security that you can
Yeah.
get.
You should send me a Slack message to remind me, but I'll bring you in
Sure.
contact with Mara, because I think it would be a very good conversation to have. She's always looking for solutions that
Yeah, amazing.
fits,
Yeah, we're actually in testing with Picnic right now, just doing like benchmark testing on for a video solution, where you've got all these you got like a producer and like an editor somewhere else, and they need to send all these files back and forth. It's like 4K video, and you want to back it up on Filecoin. So we're doing a test with some real clients right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the UI is going to get a lot better. This Google Drive and Dropbox import is now live and working. You can try this out at live1.cloudforest.cloud.
Yep. And what is your pricing model going to be? Or
Yeah, so the pricing will be, and that's why we're also doing the benchmark testing with Picnic, to really get an idea of what is the actual, for like this given use case. Like video, obviously, like 4K video will be kind of a different use case, but for a given use case, kind of this is, the hardware requirements. What are the actual, OpEx and CapEx associated with that kind of use case? Like, what is the actual hard cost, and then what does the margin need to be for a provider like Picnic on that, as opposed to like if you went to like vulture.com or something, like a kind of standard, or like DigitalOcean or something. You can spin up a server,
Yeah.
really quickly. It'll be, I think for one of the nodes, it's so simple. You can anybody can spin up a server, right? Like within a couple minutes, right? But the pricing, so like if I want a server like in Atlanta, Ubuntu, so that's free. For something that would support Cloud Forest, it would probably be in this range for a single node. Ideally, you would want 2 nodes, so that would be like $100 a month, and you would only get 180 gigs, and then you'd have to buy additional block storage if you wanted anything like that. But this is priced for developers, right? Because their only clients are devs, right?
You want
And
bigger
there's,
scale.
so yeah, if you took this to a consumer market, what would that look like? And that's what we're trying to figure out. Like, what are the actual hard costs, and then what does that pricing look like? So we think Picnic also thinks that we can get the pricing down, at least cut in half. So, and plus, if your hosting provider is also a Filecoin storage provider, they're incentivized for you to store more data with them. So they might offer you more data at a better rate.
I mean, if you host it yourself, if you look at like the new Core Vault Seagate, they go to 2.5 raw. Let's say, I know the ones that I calculated in the ROI calculator, they're the 1.9 pip ones. So you have 1.5 usable.
Right.
So at that pricing, it's like $35 per tip, and you're done, right?
Yep.
And you're good for 5 years on warranty and everything, on the drives and everything. So if you build it yourself and you put 2 high performance nodes in front of it, and then just back-end storage like that, you can cut that pricing into nothing over 5 years. So it just depends on how you're setting it up.
Yep.
And there's all like you've seen like the Backblaze kind of things that they have, like Backblaze has like this methodology just to do like the storage and backup. You put that, it's like, I think it's like a small cabinet. You get a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, I mean,
or that could be kind of like even like the one that hits a cache or something like that first, and then it goes into.
Especially for people that are comfortable with the tech, I think that's like the best way to go. But you're gonna get part of our goal as a company is to take people that aren't crypto native at all and open them up to the benefits of Filecoin, right? So yeah, try to onboard, create consumer demand for Filecoin. Enterprise definitely, it seems, like they have a higher demand, I would say, already.
Oh, yeah,
you
Yeah,
know.
it could be like Dropbox versus Box.net or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Well, and
that's
why we
something
like the
that
hosted
guys-
model, like if you're hosting this server, this has, you know, again, basically all we do, we give you a database that has all the CIDs that are being stored in the data store, which is IPFS. But having that database, you know, you can store all kinds of data in there. You can store your social graph data. You can store, you know, data that runs other applications. So you can, because you have that server, even if you have multiple nodes, especially if you have multiple nodes, that gives you infrastructure that you can do a lot of things with. You know, so as a company, if you've got, you know, every staff, you know, for every like 2 staff or 4 staff or whatever, you have one node, and you have like 30,000 staff members, like you have your own CDN, or you have your own, like, you know, whatever cluster. So you can do all these other things with that compute. You get the retrieval, you get hot retrieval, right, without having to do it on chain. You still want to be able to do that in case the whole cluster goes down or something, but everybody wants just kind of that like instant access to their data, so they're all asking for that. And then, you know, if you wanted, like on here, we could implement chat on here super easily. We could implement like even like an email server or whatever else. So while you're paying for, you know, this system that gives you control over your own data, you can also like run all these other applications that you probably pay for, right? And you could do it here cheaper on your own servers, you know, that are hopefully going to be way cheaper.
I mean, there are several open source collaboration systems.
There's so many open
Even
source.
if you look at the basic ones that come with
Yeah.
with the open source code.
I think actually
This would be perfect for like I've done like consulting precisely for this kind of thing for like hospitals, and you know the data that comes out of those things, like it's absolutely enormous.
yeah,
Like
being able to share it with who needs it, you know and keep track of it through the whole system.
and it's really not good.
It is
It's
so
like-
tough
it's
if you
like-
if you've ever like moved states and you're trying to get all your
we're doing
healthcare records.
we were doing
mentioned
it.
countries.
Yeah,
So-
right. Yeah, let alone
And
countries.
we had like triple backups because it's like it's in Florida, so they everything has to be backed up because they have a lot of hurricanes.
Yeah.
So it
yeah.
was just like it was a nightmare. You
Yeah,
would think,
it really is.
hospitals have their shit
Yeah.
together, they don't. Like
No, well-
General Electric sells them an MRI machine, you know, $10 million, and then they have like little hard drives that
Yeah.
they connect to. It's absolutely crazy.
I mean, one of their primary methods of sending these documents is fax still, because it's actually more secure. It's the most secure that they can find, essentially.
I have no idea how they do it now.
It's totally separate, like, from any other network, so they're still sending faxes because it's more HIPAA compliant than anything else at this moment.
As long as
and-
they don't need to print out the zeros and the ones for
Yeah.
the data and fax it.
Right.
Well, it's not more secure, it's simply more accepted, that, I think that's two different things.
It's
It is
way
like-
more secure than HTTP.
It's,
Way more secure.
how is it more secure?
How are you gonna hack a fax? Fax.
I mean, the telephone company, like, you can just see the whole thing, it's the same as HTTP, it's not any different from HTTP.
It's a whole different mechanism that talks to the jack, like the phone jack, right? It's connected to a phone line, so it's not talking to a router that's talking to HTTP anymore,
But how,
right?
it's not different.
You
It's
need a
not different.
dedicated landline to do it.
Yeah, but
right?
it still goes through the phone network.
Yeah,
It
yeah, still goes through the
S7.
phone. Yeah,
It's still-
eventually it's all digitized,
Yeah,
right?
it is all digital, right?
Yeah, yeah, eventually, but it's not
Well-
HTTP the whole way, right? And part of the problem is on the edges, right? If I wanna attack a hospital and their servers, I'm gonna do it on their side where I know that's where their servers are, right?
Well,
I'm
you
gonna
can do the same,
attack-
you can just tap the line, you can just tap the phone line.
Yeah, that's,
from a fax.
but that's with
That's-
everything. If if you.
It's
phys-
exactly the same, like, there's no different, it's literally
Yeah.
no different.
If
than
you have
HTTP
physical
and that.
access,
Yeah.
yeah, that's true.
Well, it's the same for HTTP, like, you have to have physical access, like,
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
have physical access,
Sure.
you cannot do that.
Well, but I mean, most
There's-
HTTP solutions are maybe a little bit more vulnerable to attack
Yeah,
than,
you could do,
than like a plain
partition
old-
attacks, you know, you do like a partition, or you try to basically surround their nodes with your nodes to make sure, to like intercept, communications. So if they wanna talk to the outside world, they have to go through one of your nodes, right? That's like a common
Well, that's
thing.
BGP, like, you can do the BGP hijacking, but BGP hijacking, it's kinda like a pretty big deal, it doesn't usually happen.
No, I know, yeah,
Just without
yeah, it's
anything.
expensive, right? I think all of this
Right.
stuff is, but yeah, no, you're right, you're not wrong. I'm just, that's what I was told recently, is like, they're trying to find alternatives to fax, because that's, yeah, again, yeah, there is a lot of support for it, but, again, what's really cool about this, I would say the coolest thing about it is, if I have an account and you have an account, and you have an account, we can all communicate with each other peer-to-peer. Even we can create our own private network that we just use for, like, to share files on a single folder or something, right? Create another private IPFS network for other types of communication. But yeah, it
Yeah,
gives
and-
you,
in your private clouds, right? Because it's not
Yeah.
encrypted on it, or you encrypt
it can be, I mean, you can set this to communicate, like, everything you upload goes to public IPFS, unencrypted. You can make sure everything at the point when you upload it, it's being encrypted, and then it's stored in IPFS. It's really up to you, you know, it's configurable.
Okay, that's okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yep, and it'll do all the data prep, and pretty soon we'll expose the Filecoin wallet in here, so you'll have a UI for the wallet and be able to actually see your storage providers that you've chosen, and kind of pick a backup schedule. Yeah, you know, a lot of devs happening right now. It'll get better and better in the next couple months, but
That's really cool.
probably June we'll launch. Yeah, and yeah, a lot of interest. Yeah, definitely in like the education space, healthcare, and definitely in the media, especially in the media space. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. I think we've got about 15 minutes, but yeah, if you guys have anything else you want to talk about, or just want to wrap up early, you can do that.
Yeah, yeah, I don't have anything specific.
Okay.
Well, sorry, what was the person you were saying that had that was doing with the protocol stuff, like
Your team.
your team?
The protocols. You mean the interplanetary consensus model?
No,
Or-
No, it was
streaming.
Oh, the stream who was
Yeah.
working on it?
Yeah.
Anjor, but I think he just came back from PTO. But you can reach out to him. He's Anjor on Slack, or
Okay.
you just reach out to me and I'll introduce you to him.
Okay.
Because
Yeah, cool. I think it took a month to kind of finish this up. So if there's any more Filecoin stuff coming up, like I would.
yeah, because like
meet some people.
I think if you do a search on Google on Filecoin, Compy, and Car streaming, you'll find his GitHub, and
Oh,
then
I see.
if you go through what he built there, you're probably maybe already be able to figure it out what you need.
That's awesome.
I'm really pumped for IPC. We'll watch this video.
Yeah, I know.
Oh no, it comes out in 22 hours.
Yep. Yeah, James is
Yeah.
working on this.
Definitely waiting patiently for that. There's a, I think it's weekly, Filecoin storage provider call. I think it's like the North America call.
Yeah, it's on Monday, yeah.
Um,
The European and the North America ones.
Yeah, and is that the same as 0 to 1, or is that?
No, that's
Okay.
every 2 weeks Thursday,
Okay.
or every
yeah.
month.
0 to 1 with Porter
Yeah.
is honestly some of the best conversations, just I would say in general, even if you're not a storage provider, to just kind of get a feel for what the storage providers are talking about, what, you know, some of the main issues. Like last week in ESPA, Deep, who runs the Filecoin Plus team, was there, and it was kind of like a ask me anything with him and literally like some of the biggest storage providers in the space, and just hearing, you know, even if you don't understand half of the things that they're saying, kind of hearing what it sounds like to be at that level is like really interesting, and seeing all the kind of pushback on Protocol Labs and kind of what they're doing to, you know, validate like people's concerns is like
Oh yeah, I
really
mean, it's community driven, all
Mhm.
of it, so
Yeah.
we do listen to what
yeah,
everybody's
you really
saying.
do. Yeah, Protocol Labs, like they're there if you need to reach out, and yeah, it's an amazing environment. You
Mhm.
know, it's really cool.
I
to see.
mean, the last 0 to 100 was about the ROI calculator.
Yep, that's right.
That I talked about together with Stefan, I think, on the
Mhm.
0 to 1, and now Thursday, in 2 days, I think the ceiling as a service with Aligned will be
with
discussed.
is that the glyph stuff or?
No, that's
Oh,
the
ceiling as a
Aligned ceiling as a
service.
service.
Right,
So
right.
that would be on
Yes.
Thursday. Yeah, I think
That's
it's in the
cool.
afternoon.
Nice. Yeah, like 4:30 or something our time. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, the glyph like liquid sealing, I mentioned that too. That stuff is really interesting. Hopefully it will open up some, here it is, some liquidity for,
Yeah, the liquidity pool. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
yeah, infinity pool. Honestly, glyph, like when I needed a wallet that worked with the ledger, they were the only ones for a
Yeah,
while,
yeah, yeah,
you know?
Is there
Um,
another one right now? that-
There is, well, Ledger Live now supports it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So Ledger natively supports it now, and
That's true. Yeah,
there's
in the
probably,
beginning it was just glyph.
it's just glyph,
Yeah,
yeah, which was really, really helpful.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did for a long time. I just did multi-sig, just to
Oh,
not
yeah.
like bother with all the ledger part. But now
Right.
Ledger Live.
Yeah, it's nice to have. Alright, cool. Well, I think they're gonna kick us out in 10.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. The next one is
we'll
in
clean
May,
up.
right?
Yeah, May 16th, I believe. Let me just make sure. Tuesday, yep. So the third Tuesday of every month.
Mm.
So that one is May 16th. We'll be here.
Okay.
But
I'm in Europe then in May and June. so-
yeah, that's the best time.
Yep.
That's when it's nice and warm. Cool. Well, yeah, I appreciate everyone coming. Yeah, I think Alex and Logan are in Belgium right
Yeah,
now.
they're at
so
IPFS
yeah.
thing right now, right?
yeah, they'll be back. They're I think they got accepted into an accelerator out there.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
they're
in Switzerland. Yeah.
yeah.
I know. It's pretty cool.
It is cool. So, yep, they'll be back soon. Yeah, this next like 3 months, I feel like is just gonna be really, really interesting with all these projects, like what you're working on, seeing that, you know, where that's gonna be in 3 months. You know, where like a lot of these.
Because I think we're just, this is kind of like the more B2B side, but I think we'll do something like Odyssey, we'll do a B2C play, because it's like the
Yeah.
first thing everyone asks me, like,
Yeah.
how do you make, like, I
How
was
do
like,
you make money?
no, like, how do you make a clone of YouTube or something, like, that's the first thing they ask me, I was like,
Yeah.
I'll just do
Yeah,
it for
yeah.
you, it's fine.
Right.
It's like, it's all, and I just like, everyone, like, you can just, you could just like have an RSS feed or something of all the CIDs or something and have a player or something,
Yeah.
like, that'd be really cool.
Yeah. So again,
The
I could
video player part is hard as hell, super hard, but
Yeah.
it's like,
Well, to
Yeah.
get it,
we finally figured it
yeah,
out.
to get it to read the CIDs, like, or the car files, like, that's really interesting.
Yeah,
I could
it
see
was
our
fun.
system could make use of that.
Oh, 100%, we're gonna open source it
Yeah,
for sure.
because what's kind of cool again is, you know,
Is
if
the
if everyone in this room
hyperclear.
has Node, like I can distribute my content to you,
Yeah, exactly.
um,
That's the idea.
you know, and then you can.
It's like you can bring your own. You can use our gateway. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
Right. So
And
like,
it plays very, very smooth.
if I'm like watching video, like, here's where I think we'll be is like, think about your favorite musicians are listening to music every day, right? Like, why don't you have access to, like, if they let their fans see the music that they like, why don't you have access to that?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Same thing with your favorite, like, anything, like,
Yeah.
so
I think
it's
the-
just part of the
I think
graph,
the-
right? You should be able to get access to that, so.
I think there's something cool like going down the road of like YouTube sucks because they're supported by advertising. If it was like donation based or you could sell your own merch, if there was another way to monetize it, you wouldn't have all these.
Well, the
problems.
only reason it's advertised driven is because
I think they support the donation base as well now. I think they
They
take
do.
30% of the donations that.
But the real problem is if I create a video and I go viral and I'm hosting it myself, if I get 10 million streams on a 4K video, I've got a couple $100,000 bandwidth bill from my hosting provider.
Not from us.
Right.
Literally, we host.
But
we
that's
host on-
why people use YouTube, because
have
I just
we
upload
have
it to
100
YouTube for
gigabyte
free and I don't have to
pipe.
pay that $100,000 out of my pocket, right?
We pre-purchase all
But,
of them.
You know,
It costs us
but it costs
$700.
somebody some money. Eventually, like if somebody really went viral on your system,
Yeah.
you're gonna get hit with that bill, right?
Well, not at those pricing. Well, I don't know
I'll
where
literally tell
you're.
you, like, no. The reason why is because everyone built stuff on top of Amazon, and Amazon charges 8,700% markup on
Right.
Yep.
on
Yeah.
bandwidth. Bandwidth is
Right.
has never and never will be an expensive thing.
Yeah, yeah.
It's that
Well,
they just choose to.
Yeah,
monetize
same. I
it.
have also have a couple of gig.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
data center
I
in
have-
Brussels. I mean, it's unlimited.
Mhm.
There's
Like
no.
the pipe I have, it's like you could run you could go super viral on my shit.
Yeah, well,
You can basically get like unlimited 1 gigabit per second connection for.
It changes
like
the
$50.
business model when you don't have to pay for bandwidth.
Yeah,
but you need
yeah.
still need a CDN.
That's
Right.
what I'm saying. That's what I know how to build.
Yeah,
Mhm.
well, and this is why, so again, my model, pay the $9.99 a month or whatever that you would have paid for Spotify or YouTube, right? But let that go to paying for your own server, and if every user has their own server where they're storing their data, that server is a CDN. If we're all requesting the same content anyway, like we are the CDN.
I get
And then you shard those costs.
I get where you're coming from.
So then you you as a company don't need to operate your own CDN, let your users operate their CDN by just having an IPFS node, right?
Yeah, but people always forget you gotta still bootstrap parts of it.
Mhm.
It's like otherwise it just falls apart if it's fully pure.
You always do, but
Yeah, but you can't do without.
yeah.
There's certain things that you just like need to have. You know, like that indexing thing was like amazing. It was kind of like not great without
Indexing is tough, yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been around for a while, but it's like getting to very mature levels now.
I remember my dev was like so confused, like how, like, wait, there's no indexing on IPFS?
Yeah, it's actually kind of.
It was an issue for
It's
a while.
a little bit of
It's
this.
like, how do you actually
It's magic.
Take this next door.
Do you need help with anything?
Not really, there's no trash. Yeah, if you see anything up here, just throw it away.
Yeah.
Oh, and help yourself to pizza if you guys wanna take some home, like, please. Beer as well.
bags.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why, they seem like last forever. They're like, I have some really old ones too, like, it's just fun to collect.
More t-shirts. Anybody?
I think they're like sell.
Yeah.
A few of these.
Oh, some swag too.
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh. Cool. Thanks for coming, guys. Appreciate all of you. What's your name again? Constantine. Constantine. Really good to meet you. It's been all really difficult to like start indexing YouTube.
Oh, right.
That's just.
So we're gonna do all this.
Well, they probably have like too much data, like everybody.
There's no such thing, it's Filecoin, baby. The more data, more better.
Should be that way.
Can you get more veggie pizza next
I
time?
will, yeah,
It's
sorry
like
about
veggie
that.
right now.
Yeah, figured, I didn't know cheese would be so popular. Yes, I will do that. So, I mean, you guys wanna take some of this?
I'm good,
I'm really tired.
Sorry, man.
I didn't
They
get
took all
like
your cheese,
the slides
man.
yet.
You're working on anything in crypto right now? Or
No, not right now.
just interested in
Yeah.
what's happening?
I think we're good on trash, right?
Yeah, I didn't see anything.
See you guys later. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks,
thank you.
appreciate it. See you next time. Consensus will be interesting.
Yeah. I assume a lot of people are gonna be here.
It's gonna be like a weird, like a really interesting shift. It'll be like Filecoin stuff, like hacker, knowledge, and then like consensus more just like, I don't know, it's like you watch all these people and like
Yeah, it's
all
more,
that
more
NFT
hot.
inspirational, like NFT, fluffy,
I'm gonna be there and
funny stuff.
yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna be speaking or talking about anything. It's probably not gonna be very technical.
Yeah, the future of data, like I don't know.
No, usually afterwards I have some very deep technical conversation with people like, oh, they heard you talk about something and then reach out. It's, yeah, some people are interested in the tech, but they, in the beginning, also don't know who to talk to.
I can see that, I can see that.
There's events usually, Thursday is kind of chill, like all high over, and then you'll have one-on-one conversations around.
I wanna see that, like, sometimes like checking out the vendors is really cool, it's like people that have, it's so expensive that like you can like the best thing that you're doing currently, so it's like you might get some product launch type things there.
Yep.
And so it's, I like it for that.
If you want some petabyte scale storage, you can definitely connect to CA
Yeah.
or anybody or Supermicro or anything. But yeah, storage isn't cheap, no matter how you look at it.
Yeah,
This will
literally.
cost what it costs, like, it's
Costs what it costs,
you know what I mean, there's no,
Some shortcuts.
I mean, like 22 tip disk, legally and sealed, doesn't come for free.
It is not, we're pretty happy to pay that price anymore. It is like, oh, that's how much that costs.
Yeah.
I remember when SSDs first came out, I was like, what? Yeah.